Hello and welcome to Authentic Conversations Emoji. Welcome, welcome. It's Wednesday. Happy belated Memorial Day. And my name is Mojisola Wilson, and this is Authentic Conversations Emoji on Moji's World. I'll wait a few minutes for people to come on. We are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. So come on in. I am waiting for you to come into the studio with me. How are you? I hope everybody had an amazing day. It's been kind of hectic with coronavirus. I understand people are not sure what to do with themselves, and life is changing, and we have to change ourselves to be able to adapt really to the new times that we're all living in. So bear with me for a moment while I set up everything to the other pages. Okay, 1 second. I know you guys on YouTube, not too many of you, but do me a favor and share this one because it's very important. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hey, how are you? I can't see who's on there yet. So if you're on, please do me a favor and say hello so I know you can hear me. And I know that you are here with me and I'm just not talking to myself. Bottom line is, look, racism in the US and all over the world has been around for many, many years. We can't discount that. But it's 2020. Times are changing. Things are happening. We've had, we now have cars that are run by electric. We now have, we've tried the planes the Concorde that flew to the UK in less than 2-3 hours. Times are changing. The world is changing. We now know that the world is not flat. It's actually round. Oh my God, things are changing. As an African-American woman, and I say African-American because I am African and I live in America, I have seen the best of the US, and I've seen a lot of really, really horrible things as a Black person. And as a Black immigrant woman, lesbian woman, that is even, I mean, you're talking about carrying a whole lot of baggage with me everywhere I go. 5 years ago or 6 years ago, when Eric Garner was killed, I was on social media shouting and screaming like all of you guys. And not much has changed since then. Not much has changed since the Jim Crow days. Not much has changed. I mean, yes, we no longer have to go through the back doors as Black people, but I tell you, it's really hard to be a Black person. A few days ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, really, a gentleman was running. He was jogging, and he was accosted by 3 white men, and they shot him. They shot him. He died. Before that, there was Trevor. There's been a lot of people. There's Eric Gardner who had asthma and was selling stuff on the street on Staten Island, and the police stopped him. I have been stopped by police because I'm driving a fancy car at night, minding my own business, and I did nothing wrong, and they stopped me. But there's a lot of things that we're going to touch on today that a lot of people will be very touchy about. And if anything I say hurts you, in a way that it's not intended, I'm not going to apologize, because anything that hurts you is because there's a sensitivity that you guys already have to it. So this is Authentic Conversation with Moji. My name is Mojisola Wilson. As you guys know, I speak power into truth with a very unique voice. Sometimes it's comedic, sometimes it's serious, sometimes we're going to cry, sometimes we're going to laugh. Point of the matter is that if we don't start to have authentic conversations in our circles, none of us are going anywhere. I've been doing a series on racism, tribalism in Nigeria. And that's Black on Black racism. No matter how we sugarcoat it, it's there. As a person that lives in America, in the United States, coming from Africa, a country where Black people are enslaving themselves, and then you promise that, oh, come to, if you get to America, everything is going to be great. It's going to be grand, and it's not. It's very disappointing. Because now I asked the question this morning, where is the safe place for Black people? Africa is not safe because of Africans that are leading the continent. So it's not safe for us. We're getting killed. In Nigeria, they're getting raped. Women are getting raped. Women are getting killed. The Muslims don't like the Christians. The Christians don't like the Muslims. I mean, it's just, it's madness all over the world. But the United States is supposed to be the melting pot, right? Bring me your sick and your poor. That's what the US is known for. And I get the point that there's been slavery and there's this, there's been that, there's been this and that, but come on now, it's 2020. My biggest issue today, honestly, is the fact that I, as an African-American woman that grew up with an Irish family in the United States, I, as an American woman that went to school with a lot of Caucasians, I, as an African-American woman, that's a first African-American on the Staten Island Board of Realtors. When I was on there, in 70 years had gone, they never had a Black person. I was the first Black person. I was the first Black woman. And, things are changing. I give you that. But a lot of things are still staying the same. If a man is being arrested and a policeman puts his knee on the guy's throat until he chokes to death, and white America is not screaming, it's not jumping up and down like we are, we have a problem, because this is not just a Black issue. It's a human issue. A person that kills somebody comfortably has a problem. It's not a mental issue. I think with the police people, I've been doing research for the past 2 days, and I'm beginning to think in my own crazy kind of way, because I'm a Libra. I tend to ask questions from both sides. What is going on here? Then the thought occurred to me this morning that it's fear. It's fear of the Black people. It's the way that we have been portrayed in movies. Before I came to America, my favorite show was Bonanza. Bonanza was my favorite show, where everybody was shooting everybody. So when I stepped off the plane with my flip-flops in the middle of winter, one of the worst winters they had in Boston in those days, I automatically expected everybody to be slinging guns and things like that, because that's what I know. Since that's what I know, I became very, very conscious of my surroundings. The first 2 weeks, I didn't leave the house because I was afraid. I mean, I didn't see anybody that looked like me in the neighborhood that we lived in Boston area. So my God, I was so afraid to go out. But the family I'm living with are all white people. And I'm thinking to myself, wait, they're kind of nice. Their friends are nice. When we go to church, everybody's nice to me. So I started to wander out little by little, and I started to see that it's an individual thing. But look, before Black people get excited and think I'm here to bash white people, no, that's not what I'm doing. Problem also, I'll give you both sides of the coin from my opinion and experience. Before we do that, let me just say a quick hello to Alel. Let me say hello to Miriam. Happy birthday, Miriam. Let me say hello to Dorothy. Let me say hello to Olaladale. Okay? Now, when I say we Blacks have the same problems that the Blacks do, we all have unconscious bias. I have unconscious bias. I said it before, and I've admitted it before, because of my subliminal, conditioning, where every time I turn on the TV, I'm watching Black people getting arrested. I'm watching Black people in movies playing in those days, because I'm 55 years old. I'm watching Black people play prostitutes and, pimps and drug dealers and things like that. So automatically I'm thinking every Black person, subliminally, that's why it's called unconscious bias, because consciously I think I'm a little bit more intelligent than to believe that every Black person is this or every Black person is that. But subconsciously, we've been taught that anything that's Black is negative. It's the same reason why Black women, dark-skinned, brown-skinned women, lighten their skin to become lighter. It's the same reason why people bleach their skin. It's the same reason why some people marry white people, because they think it gives them a privilege, that not understanding that you're Black. It doesn't matter. Even if while you're with your partner, you can still be discriminated about. I'm not saying love is not love. Love is love. But there are people that go out seeking white people to be with. Now, and I'll tell you, one of my biggest problems in the universe, I'm telling you, one of my shortcomings is the fact that because of my conditioning, because of my experience as a Black woman, what I personally have experienced, honestly, is the fact that I get bashed more by Black people because they call me Oreo cookie. They say the way I speak English is not Black. Nigerians say I'm not Nigerian enough. You know, so it's not, I'm not coming from a place where I believe all white people are bad people, because I have friends that are white. I have, you know, I sound racist now, don't I? But it's true. I have brothers and sisters and cousins and stuff that are half white and half Black. But if in 2020, a police person cannot stop someone that's allegedly doing something wrong the same way they stop a white person, we have a problem. We have a problem in the way that these police people are being taught. I understand that they're using data. My son actually did a school project last week for his debate class about why using data to racially profile people is not acceptable in 2020. We all walk around with this concept that we have, that we're really cool, that we're with it, that we're with the times, that we're not racist. And I asked the question the other day of a friend of mine that was on the show with me. I asked the question of Kevin. I said, can Black people be racist? And he said, no, they can't be racist because they're the minority. I still believe Blacks are racist. Some Black people are racist. Some Black people are unconsciously racist. They don't realize the fear that has been instilled in them, because when a Black man is standing in the park a few days ago, and a white woman walks into an area that's just for bird watching, that you're expected to have your dogs on a leash, and she has a dog roaming the streets, and the woman turns around and the Black man turns to this woman and says, hey, will you please put your dog on a leash or something like that? This is an area for bird watching. There's a huge sign there that says so. And she goes, I'm going to call the police and tell them there's a Black man harassing me. What? If you're being harassed because somebody's telling you the truth, and you want to say somebody's harassing you, it's not a big deal. You can do that. But once you put Black or an ethnic or an ethnic group into the conversation, it becomes racist. It's a racial offense against that person in the United States of America. I don't know about anywhere else. But what are we Black people doing, right? Are we being proactive or are we being reactive? Because what I see is a lot of reactions from Black people. When something happens is when you start screaming. One of the first things I emoji did was pull my sons together and say, hey, you're Black boys. Anywhere you go, you have to be 10 times better than the white person. I have a son that's 16. We have a son that's 16 and all his friends are white. And it's not his fault. It's the school he goes to. But one thing I make sure I tell him is, look, while you guys are roaming in a pack, make sure that you're on your best behavior. Make sure if somebody steals something, you walk away from them. Because if anything happens, you're the one that's going to go down. You're the one that's going to be used as a scapegoat. So don't think because your parents are comfortable that you are not going to face the same problems that Black people face in the United States of America. It doesn't matter how educated you are. It doesn't matter how much of a good person you are. As long as you're Black, the first thing they see is Black. I have walked into rooms, into business meetings where I'm the only Black person. So many functions that my wife and I go to, and we're the only Black people. Not only are we representing the Black people, Black community, we're representing gay people, we're representing African people, then we're representing Nigerians. It's exhausting. It's exhausting that Black people are the ones that carry the weight of racism when a lot of white people are racist. And why are they racist? Racism is like a phobia. It's a fear of the unknown. It's a fear of the dark skin. It's a fear of what they have been taught, what they have been told, what they have seen on television, what they continue to see on television. So it's partly our job to train or retrain people around us. It's our job as Black people to retrain, I repeat, to retrain the people around us. There's not going to be anything changing in the world, period, if we don't change ourselves. You guys know me. Accountability, accountability, accountability. Allegedly, the man that was killed, that died a few days ago, was spending a $20 bill or something that allegedly was fake. Now, my God, the young man that walked into a school and shot almost 20 people dead, he had a gun on him. For some reason, he didn't report to the policemen that were white to shoot him down. But a young black boy that stole a piece of candy was gunned down, or allegedly stole a piece of candy, was gunned down. Eric Garner was murdered, because I don't call it killed, was murdered in broad daylight, and black, white, everybody was there. Nobody did anything. Instead, everybody pulled out their camera phones and took videos and posted it on social media. We have to become accountable for our actions. When you see somebody being bullied or harassed and you're not saying anything, you're part of the problem. I posted something on my page today and I'm getting inboxes from people saying that I am racist. Honey, if that's racism, then sue me. Because at the end of the day, if I'm your friend, if you're a white person and I'm your friend as a black person, even forget me, let's even pretend you don't know me. But if you see something wrong in the community and you are not able to spend 2 seconds of your time, instead of posting your food, posting your room, posting your car, 2 seconds of your time to speak up about something that we all know is wrong, that's going on, you guys you're part of the problem. Then somebody else came on a very good friend of mine came on the thread and said, I'm white. And what I focus on is getting Donald Trump out of office. Here's my problem with that. Donald Trump got into office because Americans, the white Americans who are the majority, a lot of white Americans were racist. A lot of them were biased against women. Unconscious bias is doing things without knowing. And look, you guys know, I'm not going to sit here and bash anybody and bash this person. I'm going to tell you the facts. The fact is every cop that gets up, black, white, green, that gets up in the morning, their main concern is making it back to their family, making it back home that day. So I think being proactive, I honestly believe that instead of being reactive these days, we all need to become proactive, because if we're not proactive, I'm telling you, we're not going anywhere. Being proactive is making sure that we teach our children that when the policeman stops you, yes, in America, you have rights. But honey, when you're black in America, it does not seem like we have a lot of rights. If the policeman stops you, the first thing you do is yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, because your main goal is to get out, and people are going to come after me for that. Shuku to all of you that want to come after me for being truthful. I have taught my children that when a policeman stops you, put your hands up. Don't go into your phone. Don't try to reach for anything. Don't even call me, because before I used to say call me. Now you go for your phone, they'll think you're going for a gun. And everybody's nervous. The person that stopped is nervous. The policeman is nervous because they've been taught that black people are going to kill them. They've been taught that black people are racist. They've been taught. I mean, I have friends that are in the police force. And my prayer every day when I get up in the morning is for everybody to make it home. Because at the end of the day, everybody does stupid things. Black, white, green. But black people are the ones that are going to jail. Elizabeth Hoffman paid for her child to get into university. A poor African-American woman that used a friend's address because she wanted her child to go to school. The kid had good grades, wanted her child to go to a good school. She got 5 years. This rich white woman is getting 2 months. 2 months. And we think there's nothing wrong with the system in America. There's a lot wrong with the system in America, but we black people need to start taking accountability. We need to start paying more attention to details. We need to start to carry ourselves with a bit more dignity. And yes, we have a right to be a bomb if you want to, but honey, let me tell you, you have a right to be a bomb if you want to be, but your actions affects me. I am there. I mean, we've all made mistakes, and some of us have paid for our mistakes, yes, and still paying self. And we've chosen to better ourselves. Don't sit there and tell me, oh, America is not for black people, because it is. I know people that have done well. I know people that have what I call FOPU degrees. I know people that are senior vice presidents. I know people that are CEOs and they're black. It doesn't mean that they won't get stopped by the cops, but at least they have a better chance of staying alive. Because I continue to tell people, look, at the end of the day, if you want to be mediocre, shuku to you. If you want to be the bottom of the barrel, shuku to you. My goal in life is to be the best version of me that there is, and that should be everybody else's goal. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm not doing what everybody else is doing. I'm doing what fits my soul. So if you just do that as a black person and become the best plumber, and make sure that your moral compass is not broken. If you're Nigerian like I am, and you don't understand that your moral compass is broken, trust me, you will learn. A lot of times what we consider the norm in the United States, when you walk into a store and the police are following you around, that's not normal. Just because you're black, while some white person is in the back stealing and robbing them blind. But how we carry ourselves helps to change the narrative as well. How we behave helps to change the narrative. How are we as black people going to help to change the narrative of this country that chooses to continue to oppress us? How? When you go for a house, my wife and I went to buy a house. I've told this story so many times. My wife and I went to buy a house in a very nice neighborhood, at least what I thought was a nice neighborhood. On that whole block, I later found out there's not a single black person there. We went and looked at the brand new construction. I am a licensed New York State real estate broker. I've been in the business for over 20 something years. I've been on the board of ethics, been on the board of this, been on the board of governors of Staten Island Board of Realtors. My wife and I walked into the house. I loved it. She liked it. She didn't particularly care for a lot of things, but the school district was good. So we were getting the house. It was going to be good. We gave the guy full price. Did not negotiate. Because one of the things that I learned is that if you negotiate as a black person in particular neighborhoods, you're not getting it, and that's the excuse for it. We were coming in with a very good down payment. The guy signed the documents, accepted our offer. We were getting ready to set up an inspection for the house, and I get a call. No, I get a text. I'm sorry, I can't tell you the house. So I called the guy. I'm like, what the hell? And he's like, let me text you, because he must have been with people. And he sends me a text saying the neighbors said, no, they can't sell to a black person. Now, mind you, I'm black and I'm gay. So double minority. And then we're women too. It doesn't matter that my wife is a doctor. It doesn't matter that I'm a real estate broker. I'm just another black person. See, there's this misconception that when a black person moves into the neighborhood, we don't take care of our property. So everywhere we live, we overdo. You know, we do everything. Our lawns are always mowed. Everything is always perfect. And there's a lot of black people that take care of their homes and their properties, not because, and some people don't. Like, there's a lot of white people that don't take care of their properties, but there's always that misconception in real estate. The reason I actually went into real estate, so is because when I was looking at houses, they were showing me jacked up neighborhoods. The very first fully detached house that I ever bought in my life, in 1998, I made the Staten Island Advance because I was taking the editor of the Advance out to show them houses that day. And I went to visit this house that I had bought a few months before, and big letters on the house. Get out of here, nigga, nigga, nigga. Get out of here. Your type is not welcomed here. It was written all over the door, the house. Graffiti. I called my client crying that day. Oh my God, I can't make it. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing, because I'm trying to be professional. And I just broke out. I didn't even know she worked for the Advance. And I just started sobbing because, you work so hard all your life. You've saved your pennies, and you finally are able to get a piece of the American dream in a neighborhood that's 2 blocks away from one of the allegedly worst neighborhoods of that time. 2 blocks. But I didn't realize there was an invisible mark where blacks did not cross. Brown and black people did not cross. And they wrote, nigga, 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 get out of here, nigga, on the house. But guess what? The client that I was taking out, I had never met, turned out to be white. She sent in camera crew. They took pictures of my house. They blasted it all over. And that's how Moji became popular on Staten Island. Because every time they interviewed me, oh, I'm a real estate broker. I'm a real estate broker. So people started calling me to buy houses and things like that. And that's why I ended up being number 1 in the Century 21 system on Staten Island for quite a while in the real estate market. My neighbor was white. All the neighbors was white. A neighbor carved out the reindeer set for Christmas and put it in front of our home. White people always step up. So it's not all white people that are bad. I know that. I grew up, some of my best friends are white people. It sounds racist, but that's my life. That's my truth. But my problem is that I cannot teach a lot of white people what it feels like to be black. I cannot explain to a person when my wife and I tried to buy a house and they say no because the neighbor said no black people, and the builder, you would think, just wants their money. No, he didn't sell it to us. When we went to the next house, because I've always been one that you can't put into a box. When we went looking for another house, I was looking in a particular another neighborhood, Westerly. When we went to put in the offer, the realtors all know me. I've been doing business with them for 28 years. I've been screaming racism for 28 years on Staten Island in real estate. I've been screaming about how landlords on the board of ethics. I was screaming for many years when I was on the board of ethics for Staten Island Board of Realtors that what the realtors allowed homeowners and builders to do is unethical. We all have to take this class called, class about racism and things like that. Discrimination. Every 2 years, we take the same damn class about discrimination. It's like, no, people just sit through the class and it goes, bounces right off them. We went looking at another house, raggedy house, because you know me, I'm a flipper. I like to fix up houses and make them new again. We went looking at this raggedy house in Westerly, in Staten Island. I put in the offer and they said no. The house is falling down. We ended up paying thousands, tens of thousands more, because by then I was pissed and I was very upset. And I was going to show them that it's not about the money, it's about the principle. Because at some point, we overpaid for that house, but I felt better. Because what I thought I was doing was slapping them with money. Because a lot of places that you can't get to as a black person, if you're a comfortable black person, they'll let you in. They're letting you in is diversity, but that's not inclusion. See, most of the times in America, they have this thing, affirmative action, where you have to have a certain number of black people, you have to have a certain number of white people, you have to have a certain number of women and gay. It doesn't always work, because what I've learned that people do is they get me emoji, a black woman, a gay woman, and I just fill all the slots for them. And they don't include us into anything. They don't include us into it. So there's diversity, but there's no inclusion. Diversity is not always inclusion. So we have to become a lot more proactive. And then you have white people that are fighting for us, but majority, the number of African American in America is a lot lower than the number of Caucasians. We all know that. So for us to be able to fight this fight, we need our brothers and sisters that are Caucasians to jump into the battlefield with us. We need you to start speaking up on your page. We need you to start educating people that we are not cattle. Mike Vick was allegedly abusing dogs. He went to jail for it. 5 years they gave him. 5 years, this guy went to jail for 5 years for beating a dog. And why black people are beaten and killed and maimed every day in America, and a lot of white people are not complaining. Like, really? Why? What is wrong with this thing that you can't see us as humans? A lot of white people are not complaining. Not my monkey, nor my circus. That is one of the most unfair statements I've ever heard in the world. Oh, we're trying to get Donald Trump up. In the meantime, we're all dying. In the meantime, I cannot sit in my own community at 6 a.m. in the morning. I live in a gated community, security guards that carry guns. Ex-policemen work here. And I cannot take a walk at 6 a.m. in the morning because I'm black. The first time I tried to do that, I was sitting by the pond and a white person comes up, white man in a police car, comes up to me and asks me, do you work here? Do I work here? Even my housekeeper, you can't talk to her like that. That's not, hello, how about good morning, how are you? Something. Do I work here? Because I'm black, I must work here? Honey, no. We own one of the biggest houses in the community, sorry. Do I work here? I said to him, do you work here? He goes, where do you live? I said, well, tell me where you live. And honestly, if I was not in the community and I was outside the community, in the community, I knew for a fact that nothing's going to happen. I knew for a fact that we can go to the community, to the management company and file a complaint. Honey, if I was on the public street and a policeman asked me, do you work here? I'll be like, no, massa. Show me your ID. Yes, massa. Get on the floor, flat drop in 30 seconds flat, no arguing. A lot of you black people want to be arguing your case. That's no, honey. I'm not arguing with a policeman. Not a black one, not a white one. We all have rights. That's part of the problem. America tells you that you have rights. You don't have rights. Okay? You have rights if you're alive. If you're dead, you don't have any rights. We need to start teaching our children. When a policeman stops you, put your hands up. When it says drop to the ground. Make sure your hands are up. All this arguing with cops and telling them about the 10th Amendment and the 5th Amendment and the this and the that, honey, you need to stop that. Because, and then, look, let me tell you, I'm not the one who, don't come in my inbox and start telling me how I'm wrong. It's my opinion. It's my show. You don't like it, come into the show and talk to me about it. But I'm going to tell you, I would rather my child stays alive and we can afford to pay the best lawyers in town, because if that kid is dead, he's dead. The maximum they'll do is they'll drag the case in court for the next 5-6 years. They will put the case in court. The city can afford it. I've seen it done several times. When they killed Amadou Diallo, it took them almost 5-6 years to give his family a dime. Even if they give me 10 million as his wife, my gun dead as a doorknob. So for black people that say we have rights, yes, you have rights, honey. Make sure you make it out of that situation and then you lawyer up. But a lot of people want to be arguing, and there's a lot of people, you're watching black men that are not arguing. There was a case, I forget the guy's name, a black guy that was in his car with his wife and his son. And he had a license to carry the gun. And he told them, I'm going for my life. Boom. Him in the car, boom, right next to his girlfriend or wife, and the child was there. Not me, honey. I love my shoes way too much to die too early. Outside the community, anybody that stops our children, we've told them, you say yes, sir, yes, ma'am. You don't argue. You drop down if they tell you to drop down. Whatever you do, keep your hands up and keep it in sight. Part of the problem is that we believe in this illusion. We believe in this illusion that we have rights. If we had rights as black people in America, honey, when a white man does the same crime that we do, we are the ones that go to jail. Go and see the penitentiaries. 65%, according to Google, of black boys are in jail for stupid shit. Stupid things. In New York, they used to just pick them up because they had quarters. In New York, they'll just stop them. Resisting arrest because the guy asked, what did I do? 6 months, 8 months in jail. Once you go to jail, your life is fucked up. That's the reality. It's in your records for life, even if even if it's hidden, it's still there. Behave, do the right things as black people, mingle with some more white people. That's my next point. Get to know some white people, make some white friends, teach them that you, me, my kids, my wife, because look, we cannot continue to segregate ourselves because we're afraid. Fear is the reason why a lot of people stay away from each other. Fear is where I don't hang out with a lot of Nigerians. Okay, that's racism too. I admit it. I already said we all have unconscious bias, right? We all have these ideas of who the other person is. Does that make it right? Because look, we can sit here and complain all day. I know you guys like that. You love it when we rag and bitch and whine about what they're doing to us, the oppression. I'm not too old for that. Let's start talking about how to solve these problems. If we don't change ourselves, we can't change the world. I think Gandhi or somebody said that. I forget who said it. Be what you want to see in the world. And I always I'm politely asking my white friends, brothers and sisters, I am politely asking all of you guys to do me a huge favor. to do me a huge favor. Because a lot of landlords used to tell me when I was doing rentals in Staten Island, oh, I don't want any black people. I won't touch the file. I won't take the house. I won't take the listing. I don't need the money that badly if I cannot give a person that qualifies financially, credit-wise, and background check clean. If I can't give them an apartment because of the color of their skin, I refuse to make that money. And then the worst thing, the most insulting thing, because they think they're being nice, they think you like that. They tell me, oh, you're not really, don't say that. You're not really black. Whoa, I'm not really black. That is such you just eroded my identity. I'm not really black. So one day I sat down and I wrote a poem many years ago. I am not black enough. I'm not white enough. I'm not Nigerian enough. I'm not African enough. I'm not American enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not gay enough because I look like a femme. I'm not a butch. So when people look at me too, they always say, oh my God, why are you gay? You don't look like a gay. Like, really? What does a gay person look like? So when you erode people's identity, it makes them feel less. When people feel less about themselves, they start to make reckless choices. They start to make irrational choices. Because look, if they already think I'm a bad person anyways, oh, I might as well be bad. Or you hang out with people that are bad. If you value yourself as a black person, you don't hang out with people that are doing bad, horrible things, because now you respect yourself. One of the things that a lot of us do is that we walk into a room and we gravitate towards that person that looks like us. We all do it. I do it all the time. I've done it. I even said on one show, I only want to hang out with gay people. And then some gay people showed me pepper, and I realized people are people. So when you walk into a room and you see black people, don't just go to black people. Mingle with the other cultures, Indian, white, green, let them get to know you. Because when you get to know Moji, a lot of Nigerians are homophobic. They've always been. I have people on my page that were or claim to be homophobic in the past, but since they met Moji, they now understand that gay people are just regular gay people. Individual activism. Get to know a white person. Make friends, not superficial friends. Make friends. Be your authentic self around black people. And around white people, so that they can get to know you. Because that's the only way they'll learn that we are all the same. We all hurt the same. I'm scared to let our son out of the house after a certain time of the day. He's only 16. And we're in the state where we are, you're allowed to drive at 16. The boy is almost 17. No, I'm not doing it. Because this is a state that allows people to carry guns. Let him make the wrong turn into somebody's driveway and they shoot him because he's black. See, when I speak from a place of fear. Yes. That's how I know that the white man that's going out as a police person, that's going to protect you and allegedly us, he wants to go home that day. But the white man has been taught that black people are more, according to data that they created by arresting and doing stupid things with the information, by setting people up. They got this data in New York that shows that black people are more likely to commit crimes. And that's part of the problem. Because the data that they're working off is not even the real data. It's a forged data. So get to know a white person. And if you're white and you're sitting on my page, most of you guys I know, that's why you're there anyways. Understand that the pain that I go through as a mother, as a woman, as a black person in America is not easy. Every day we step out of our home as a family, I have to pray before we leave and pray before we come back. Every day my wife leaves, I'm afraid because we've been in the car just driving, minding our own business, and we've been stopped for no reason. Just because the car was nice. Like, we don't deserve, black people don't deserve to wear nice clothing. They don't deserve to drive nice cars. How are we going to change the narrative? That's always my question. I'm not sitting here to bash any white people or bash any black people. My question is, where do we go from here? Because this has to be teamwork in the United States. This has to be teamwork, blacks and whites working together. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream that one day, people will be respected or whatever, not because of the color of their skin, but because of who they are. We've had a black president. We've had the first black ballerina as lead on stage. We have sopranos that are doing blacks operas. We have black doctors in some of the most prestigious positions all over the world. We have black CEOs running companies that I never thought would be headed by black people, let alone black women. But yet we can't breathe. But yet we cannot breathe. But yet we cannot breathe. What do we do? What can we do to be better? Olalade Ojekere says, Ma, in as much as I am sad about the guy that was shot dead in South Georgia, he was trespassing. And why was he in that uncompleted building? Just yesterday, the guy that was killed in Minnesota was reportedly trying to forge. But it's so sad. But we as black people need to do better. True. That's the first thing I said. We as black people need to do better. But it's a human thing. In every culture, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. Let me tell you something. Part of the problem is that black people have been told, majority of their lives, that they're bad. The pictures they see, you're bad. When you're a child and you don't have a role model, but gangsters, you're bound to become one of them. That's why visibility is important. One of the reasons that I sit here, Mr. Ojekeresa, is that I sit here to show Africans and Nigerians mainly that you could be a gay person and still have businesses and still be a good person and still do charity and still do all of the things that they claim they think we don't do because we're evil. See, visibility is important. It's important that these young African Americans, they see doctors, they see nurses, they see presidents, they see this person, they see that person. Because what usually happens is that when a child is growing up, I remember when our son was going to school and they said, oh, he's brilliant, he's this, he's that. In American standards, he's brilliant. In Nigerian standards, don't come up with a 98. We ask where's the other 2 points. Now they're telling him to go into sports. Why sports? And some people will argue that black Americans going into sports because they need the money for scholarship. Shuku to you, but there's educational scholarships. There's scholarships for academics. Why are kids being told to go, black kids are told to become nurses, white kids are told to become doctors? Think about it. Visibility is important, sir. Yes. Why are they committing crime? In Nigeria, Nigerians commit crime, don't they? White people commit crime as well. It's a human thing. But in African American communities, it's exaggerated. Everything is exaggerated. So you know what we start telling our sons? We tell them, look, you're a black boy in America. All your friends are white and their parents are comfortable. Yeah, shuku to them. Shuku to you too. But let me tell you something. Our money is our money. You have to go out there and make your money. And in that competitive world, as a black boy, you have to be 10 times better. I didn't say 1 time, 2 times, 10 times better than the average white person. Because you have a lot going on against you. And people say, oh, gee, you're so racist. Oh my God. That's the reality of life. We speak power into truth in our home. Because what a lot of people do is you give these kids illusion of grandeur. Because they're doing well in school, you make them forget that they're black. America does not let you forget that you're black. You can shield your children all you want with all the money and put them in Versace and Armani. We don't do that. And education is all we owe our kids. Our son is in debate team. He got silver in jiu-jitsu. Never even seen a black guy doing jiu-jitsu. It's always white and Chinese, and because it's a mental game. Jiu-jitsu, it's a mental sport. People think it's a physical sport. It's a mental sport. You know, it's psyching your opponents out. So we allowed him to do jiu-jitsu. as opposed to football, run around, boo, 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 all fat and flabby. And then you wonder why, and then they don't go to school. They go to school, but they're not educated because half the time they're practicing. And all the coaches in those kind of schools care about is that the kid gets through school. So half these black athletes are not really that educated. They have a degree, but they were never educated. They're educated illiterates. We have to do better as black people. We really, really do. Everybody has their own accountability. Everybody has their own responsibility. You know, we all have our own responsibility. Khadija says generalization is bad and often leads to injustice for you end up doing injustice. Babel, or you end up collective guilt or labeling or profiling is what many of us do unto others. We do that in Nigeria. Oh, you're Hausa? Oh my God, Khadija. Hausa people like this, Hausa people like that. You're Igbo. Oh, Yorubas and Igbos don't get along. So we never grow. The country never grows. The country, we continue to do the same things all over the world. We all suffer such profiling and we also do so to others. I think we all need to consciously work on our attitude. We need to work on our unconscious bias. Unconscious bias are those little things. Like CD Gillette and I will walk. If I walk into a room by myself, I probably won't get a table in the best restaurants because most of them don't know who I am. But CD Gillette and I walk in, honey. I remember I used to take, oh my God, this is the best story. And I know you're going to think I'm crazy. For a long time in Staten Island, I swear to God, they probably write me a letter and get upset with me. But we all have to say this. Staten Island is one of the most racist cities I've ever lived in. Racist. You would think it's the South. No. Do you know it got so bad when I call on the phone and when I use my profession? Good afternoon, this is Mojisola Wilson. How are you? Proper English, because I was taught well by my parents, right? And then I show up and I'm black. All of a sudden, the story changes. The woman that said, oh, she liked my resume, because I always send them the resume first. I send them the comparative market analysis and they love the numbers. Everything is great until I show up. All of a sudden, oh, my cousin sent somebody. You know what I used to do? And I'm ashamed to say it. But I will then bring a white friend along and I will do all the talking, because the other person doesn't know what I'm talking about. All they have to do is nod and say yes once, agree with me. And I'll get the listing. Can you imagine? After working in the same industry for over 20 something years, up until 4 years ago, I still have to bring a white person along for me to get homeowners to give me their houses to sell in certain neighborhoods. My resume is long. The committees I've been on, board of ethics, board of this, board of that, board of this, board of that, and hello. The awards I've gotten is ridiculous. But yet, when I tried to do real estate, in certain neighborhoods, I still had to bring a white person with me. When you talk about racism, there's subliminal racism that we don't even know. You and I do it. I do it all the time. I do it all the time. I look at a white guy with tattoos and his shaved head, and I automatically think he's a red skin or redneck. Sorry. Automatically, I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy is going to be a Nazi person. And then they turn out to be the nicest. There was a day I was in Jersey Shores. My car died in the middle of nowhere. I was going between, I forget, Atlantic City and the next town over. And my car literally just, when the universe is trying to teach you a lesson, he always gives you horrible things. I don't know why. It could have just made me win $1 million or something. Or, but no, my car died in the middle of winter. I'm driving and the car just stops. Boom. Just like that. I called AAA. I was still standing there for almost an hour and a half, waiting for them to come. Mind you, I said middle of winter on a city in an area that's surrounded by water. This guy pulls up in a huge truck, those big truck things with a hatchback. Steps out of the truck and I'm looking at him. He's got big metal plates in his lips. metal through the nose, earrings like up to here. His whole damn neck was filled with tattoo, his hand, everything. And I'm thinking, oh Lord, today is the day I'm getting kidnapped, killed, or raped. The guy walks up to me and says, can I help you? I said, no, I'm fine. I did. I'm sorry. I did. I said, no. I'm okay. He goes, are you sure? He said, I drove to where I'm going 10 minutes and I came back and you're still here. I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then he walked around the car. He said, stop the car. And the thing went back, 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 back. Eventually, after I started the car 2-3 times, he opened the hood. He did something. He said, wait 5 minutes. I'm going to go to the gas station. He went, bought something, poured it somewhere. Till today, I don't know where he poured it. Poured it into the car. Then he tells me to start the car again. Boop, the car started. I offered to pay him. He said no. I offered to pay him for whatever it was that he bought. He said no. And as he's walking away, he said, God bless you. Huh? He said, God bless you. A white man, bald, tattoos, plates, everything. He said, God bless you. And from that day on, I made a conscious effort to try not to be afraid of people. I know the world is a crazy place. And I know for a fact that we are all afraid of each other. I'm more afraid of Nigerians, honestly, than I am of white people. I'm sorry. My people they're wicked, their mouth, they can cut you up into 1,000,000 pieces. And I'm working on that. I'm working on that bias. It's not even unconscious. It's a very conscious bias on my part, because not all Nigerians are bad people. Not all Nigerians are homophobic. Not all white people are bad people. We have to start to do something. We have to become proactive and stop being so damn reactive. The black people are responsible. A lot of us black people are responsible for horrible things that are going on out there. And a lot of us are not speaking up either. But we need our white brothers and sisters to stand up with us, not for us, with us. Because when Moji starts talking, they tell you, oh my God, she's an angry black woman. I remember quite well 5 years ago with the Erigana issue, I was jumping up and down. I was posting about it every day. And then somebody said, Moji, a white friend said, Moji, you're too black. You're being too black. My being pro-white, pro-black doesn't make me anti-white. The same way a pro-black white person is not anti-white either. There's nothing wrong with people saying, I love my race, but don't oppress the other race, or don't oppress the other people. That's all we're saying. Femi NYC says, I have been thinking about the saying, you can't assume a cop will treat you fairly. You're responsible for finding a way to get out alive. I'm telling you, honey, get out alive. Don't argue, don't fight, I'm laying flat on the floor, or I'm standing upright with my hands up. That's it. No comment. No, absolutely not. Get out alive. If you're able to make it alive, do not allow your ego to stand in the way of you getting out of whatever situation you are in alive. Don't argue, don't fight, don't abuse them, because look, let's be real. If I was a black cop too, I'll be scared to go into certain black neighborhoods. And I'm black. Even as I am, I'm scared to go into certain black and brown neighborhoods because I don't feel like I belong. I really don't. There's certain places I'm not going to. There's certain Nigerian parties I won't go to, let alone a certain black. No, I ain't doing it. And it's not because I'm racist. It's because I have unconscious bias, because I've had horrible experiences with a lot of people. I've actually become a hermit. And thank God for coronavirus, they just kind of made put all you guys away from me. God forgive me. But the truth is, jokes apart, we all have to become responsible. We all have to become proactive and stop being reactive. CD Gillette says, I just want my own dirt. I can keep people away from me. Believe me, that's honestly, CD Gillette, you see what you just said? That's how I live my life right now. I just pretty much, my circle, I don't even have a circle. I think I have like 10 people that I talk to on a regular. I talk to a lot of people, but I've learned that my friends are not, I can't just call people friends. I've learned that it's. But bottom line is, I get what you're saying. Let me just leave it at that before I get in trouble again. Diversity is not included. Yes, talk back. Thank you. Diversity, people, we have to understand that just because they allow you into the room does not mean that you're included. I have a lot of straight friends that don't invite us as a gay couple to their events. Diversity is definitely not inclusion, because you're a black woman, you're the only token. I've been the only token in many places in my life, all my life, the only black person, because I fit 3 affirmative action positions. I'm a black woman, I'm a black person, I'm a woman, and I'm gay. So 3, boop, they get a check mark for all 3. So there will be only one of me. And because they do not understand that diversity is not inclusion, they don't include me in a lot of the things that I do, like social gatherings and things that are outside, informal gatherings outside the office or the businesses. I don't get invited to them. People's bar mitzvahs, I don't get invited to. People, whatever, I don't get invited to. So a lot of the times when people think that because they have a black friend, you can have a black friend at work, if you're not bringing him home, or if you're not taking him to parties, if you're not inviting them to come to join you for dinner and be seen with you, you haven't really included them. Yes, your friends are very diverse, but are you only hanging out with your white friends? Are you only hanging out with your black friends? Because I hear a lot of times people say, oh God, I have black friends. Or the black people say, I have white friends, but how come every time I hang out with you, I only see your black friends? Diversity is not always inclusion. We have to pay attention to making sure that we include people, because when you don't include people, it really breaks them. It takes away, chips away at their identity. And when people don't feel safe, fear comes in. Discrimination comes in. Fear of the other is why a lot of this discrimination happens. One of the most important documentaries, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot his name. One of the most important documentaries that I saw last year, actually, my wife saw it first and then said, would you have to see this? And I'm going to post it later. Is a documentary made by a musician, a rapper guy he does documentaries. And he spent almost 2 years from hanging out with KKK people, getting to know them. He actually was able to convert about 10 or so KKKs. I was like, he would go sit with them. He would invite them to their home, to his house. He would invite them to his gatherings. And little by little, these KKK members started to see that, wait, black people are not always killing people. Yeah, they eat pork. Yes, they eat. But wait, we eat the same things. It's just the seasonings that's slightly different. It's the same thing between, I was looking at the dishes of the Nigerian Igbos and the Nigerian and the Yoruba people. We eat the same thing. It's the way we cook it that's different. It's the things we eat it with that's different, but we basically all eat the same things. It's the most bizarre thing. The more you get to know each other, the more you get to know people that are different from you, the more you'll see the similarities in how they live. And all of a sudden, they're no longer that big white monster or that big black monster. But we ourselves have to be accountable, because, honey, let me tell you, I am not hanging out with a gangbanger. And at 55, I have too much to lose to be hanging out with a drug dealer. And then we all get swept up because I didn't know what the hell the guy was carrying. See, when you're younger, and you don't know yourself, a lot of us hang out with people that we should not be hanging out with. A lot of us do stupid that we shouldn't be doing. That's one of the reasons why I do this show, because a lot of the mistakes that I've made, I'm hoping that I'll be able to pass on what I've learned that cost me so much of myself onto other people. As a human being, there's going to be good people, there's going to be bad people. But as a black person, we owe it to our community to be the best version of ourselves. We owe it to our community to walk with integrity. Because if you're going to retrain, I had to retrain myself. And I say I have no shame in saying that I feel a lot like a butterfly that, because a butterfly goes through so much metamorphosis to become who she is. And half the time, all people see is these wings that are beautiful colors. You do know that there's like 4 or 5 stages that the butterfly goes through from the time that it becomes an egg, then it becomes a cocoon, then it becomes this, and then it becomes a caterpillar. That's freaking ugly with 100 legs. At least that's what I'd say, right? And then it becomes a butterfly. And even after it becomes a butterfly, the colors, for the colors to come through, when it goes, sorry, my arm doesn't move up past this one, but when it goes, we'll use the one that works. When it goes like that, right? And the blood starts to shoot through, because the blood from the butterfly has to shoot through the wings for those colors to come through. It's one of the most painful things in the universe. And that's why for a lot of us to be transformed, we have breakdowns, maybe death, somebody dies, maybe you lose all your money, maybe something happens that shakes your world for you to look within you and to become different. For us Black people, for many, many years, we've been doing the same thing over and over and over and getting the same results. We need to go to school, especially our Black men. I'm not going to give you statistics because some people just like to argue. But there's a lot more Black women that are sitting in high places today. There's a lot more Black women. Our Black men are being eroded. And they're eroding their own lives by looking to take shortcuts. I humbly ask us all, Black, white, or green, to understand that a lot of us, Black or white, like Anike says, we have to take accountability, individual accountability for what's going on out there. Accountability, because sometimes we don't speak up when we see something happening. We don't step up. Bystander intervention could have saved a lot of people a lot of pain. But we walk away because a lot of people believe that what does not hurt them. I have friends that are straight, and when I'm being abused on social media, they'll tell me, oh, I stay away from negativity. But honey, I would like to stay away from negativity, but they bring it to my door. When you see somebody being hurt or harassed on social media, in real life, when you see a policeman, a security guard following a Black person, a simple could change the trajectory of the day. It could change the narrative of that day. A simple, why are you following him? A simple, you see a white man harassing a Black man, step in. Now, if you're Black, be careful. Call the cops, preferably. But if you're white, step in, say something. Because a Black man doing that, they will think, oh God, it's gang related. But if a white man sees something is being done to a Black person that's wrong, and they step up, the other person will be like, wait, maybe something's wrong with me for harassing this Black person. Bullies don't walk away because a lightning strikes them and they have a rude awakening. No, they don't get aha moments like that. But if another white person sees something bad happening and they step in and they step up, usually they will say, let me think about it this way. Oh, maybe what I've always learned might be wrong. Anike says the reality is that we have to work harder to compete. That's just the way it is. Black kids cannot afford a sense of entitlement, which is another problem. That's a whole nother show. Anike, I'm not touching that one today because too many Black kids have been made to think they're super special. We continue as parents to trying to make up for everything that we didn't create. That a lot of our Black parents are in debt trying to keep Versace and designer shoes and $300 sneakers on their kids. Part of the problem is when they step out, when they're not respecting you at home, when they stop, Anike, we're not doing that today. That's a whole nother show. But yes, Black children need to understand that they don't have a right to anything. They have to earn it. They have to earn the respect of others by giving those people respect. A lot of people get killed because, oh, you dissed me in the Black community. Poo, poo, poo. Lack of respect for themselves, becomes lack of respect for other people's lives. This thing where they think they're entitled to respect. What the hell are you? What have you done? Are you paying the bills of the house that you want to be respected? Kids' clothes, I raised a lot of kids, almost 11. When my two daughters were fighting each other, their bedrooms were next to each other, and they would slam the door, booga. This one would be upset with that one, boom, the whole house. I went there with my drill gun, took the damn door off, all three doors. The door that connected them, and for 4 weeks, there was no door. Right there, stop the madness. 4 weeks, go to sleep without a door. Because I worked very hard to buy the house. You're not going to destroy it. American people say, oh my God, that's such child abuse, honey. You don't know what child abuse is. That's part of the problem. Why a lot of these kids are running around, because there's no structure, there's no discipline. And Black people are going to come in my inbox again. Don't come in my inbox, because I don't have time for inboxing. You want to talk about it on the show? Let me know. I'll bring you in. We'll do a sit down. Every Saturday I do a chatting with the village series. Let's talk about it. I have no issues talking to people. I'll bring 4 or 5 people in, and we'll do a town hall sort of meeting on Saturdays. Because we have to start becoming, we have to become proactive. We can't continue to do what we're doing and believe that we'll get a different result. Femi NYC says, a white person can't step in, they can get their butt kicked too. Well, somebody's got to step in. And if a white person steps in, usually when you challenge, when you're the same people challenging the other, it works. Anybody can get their butt kicked. Is it better for the Black people to die? Is it better for the Black man to be picked up for wrong reasons? We all need to step in. But the voice of the white man next to ours is going to really make it much more powerful. That's the way I feel. I'm not saying Black voice is not powerful, but we need all people to step up and say, hey, this crime and violence against Black people needs to stop. Because at the end of the day, our son is mocha. He's dark skinned and is a big 6 foot young 16-year-old. I won't let him out to a lot of places because I'm too afraid. I won't. So we keep him very preoccupied. I'm sorry. You do what works for you. I'll do what works for me. Light-skinned Blacks get away with a lot more than dark-skinned Blacks. We already know that. So when you say a white person shouldn't stop in, they'll get their ass kicked. No, a white person should say something. Say something. Again, I repeat, if I'm Moji, I'm the only one, I'm sitting there screaming, oh, black power, Black this and Black that. They'll be like, oh, she's an absolute angry Black woman. But let a white friend of mine start saying the same thing I'm saying, people will listen. Especially how white counterparts will start to listen. It is what it is. It is what it is. Call the authorities. By the time the authorities get there, they will, what? The Black man is dead. Call the authorities to get involved. You can still say something. Saying something doesn't mean you should jump in and put yourself in front of the bullet. Say something. Bullies don't usually like they don't like people to confront them. That's one of the things that I learned. But to each his own. The truth is that we all need to do better. We all need to do better. We all need to do better. We all need to do better because we're raising a generation of young people that have no sense of self. Young Black people that have no sense of self, that don't understand that the America that we live in, is not for everybody. You know, the America that we live in could be for everybody, but first of all, they need to get educated. We already know that education alone is not going to do it. So they need to become aware of what's going on in the country. They need to become very, very street smart. They need to become emotionally intelligent, but more so, they need to be given a chance to live their authentic lives without worrying that just because they're Black, they'll be shot. I deserve to go out and just hang out at the park without worrying that I might not come home because a white cop is having a bad day. The cops themselves, they deserve to go home. They deserve to go home to do their work and not be afraid that some stupid knucklehead is going to shoot them. And parents out there, you need to teach your kids the real America that they live in. The real America, where your status, the money in the bank, it helps because you can be confined in a small fantasy island. But the reality is your status, your money, your everything does not work for you when you run into a racist policeman. But your intellect will, your ability to respect authority will, your ability to recognize danger will, your ability to follow instructions will definitely save your life. I think it's time we all become proactive and stop being reactive. Life, in a fraction of a second, is over. Even if your parents sue, your wife sues, your husband sues, you're dead or you're paralyzed, do the right thing and help us all stay alive, including the white policeman that's afraid of us. Education is key. Education is the passport to our freedom. If I mingle with C.D. Gillette and C.D. Gillette mingles with me and my friends and my people, and then we'll get to know each other. And then she might give another Black person a chance. What we know about each other on a one-to-one is so much more important than what we see on TV. Because how we live our life is what they portray on TV. It is. The brainwashing of the Black community needs to stop. Africa has the same problem. America has the same problem. The difference is America tells us that we have rights. Unfortunately, when you're Black, it does not seem like we do. Continue to speak among yourself. Please make your comments online if you like what you heard. Share the video. Let's talk, keep talking amongst ourselves. Authentic conversations is important to have with your friends, with your family, with your partners. In order for you to grow, in order for me to grow, we have to be able to speak our truth, the truth. Not the sugar-coated versions that people expect to get, but the real deal. This is Mojisola Wilson. I thank you for coming. I thank you for joining us because time is the most important thing you can give to anyone. I pray for the generations coming behind us. I pray that our tomorrow will be better than our today. Namaste.